All right. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining the BluIP webinar. Today, we're going to talk about our BluIP Connect with Webex product, which for some of you may ring a bell with UC1 was the legacy product, and we're kind of excited to announce the BluIP Connect with Webex product that will be replacing UC1. We have a handful of team members with us from the BluIP team here today. But Eric is going to be leading the presentation. I will say, since most of you are muted, if you do have any questions, absolutely send a message in the chat box, or if you have more specific question related to things like pricing or just want more detailed information, reach out to your direct BluIP sales contact. And we'll be, of course, happy to help with that. On that note, Eric, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Thank you, Lasse. Good morning, everybody. Just a systems check. I want to make sure that you can all see my screen and you can all hear me.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So today we're going to talk about BluIP Connect with Webex, which is our marketing term for Webex for BroadWorks, and we'll explain that in a second. So Connect with Webex is our new easy-to-use app for calling, meeting, and messaging, and you're going to hear that a lot, okay? Because that is basically the theme for BluIP Connect with Webex. So here's our quick and simple agenda for today. We'll give a UC1 update, and then we'll talk a little bit more about BluIP Connect with Webex. And then I'm going to show you guys a feature matrix that shows the differences in features between UC1 and BluIP Connect with Webex Basic. I'll also talk about the available BluIP Connect with Webex packages. We'll talk a little bit about how to prepare for the migration. And then I'll give you guys a quick and simple end user training demo. And then even though I have a question here as the last bullet, obviously you can type in your questions anytime you want. Okay, so let's start. All right, so just a quick update on UC1. So UC1 is wonderful. It was the first tool I've ever learned back in in 2017 when I first started with BluIP. But UC1 has reached end of life, and it has reached end of sale. And UC1 will be inoperable by February 20th, 2023. Now, if this is the first time you're hearing this, apologies, because we did send out multiple webinars in the past. But yes, UC1 will be inoperable by February 20th of this year. But obviously, we don't want you guys to panic. We'll talk about the migration in a second. So, in lieu of this, BluIP partnered with Cisco to seamlessly integrate BluIP's calling service with WebEx capabilities, right? Hence the term BluIP Connect with WebEx. And BluIP Connect with WebEx, what it does is it enables new and exciting features compared to what you guys were used to on that legacy UC1 products. And then we'll talk about the phased and scheduled migration to minimize downtime between UC1 and BluIP Connect with WebEx. So I don't want you guys to think that you're going to wake up one day, go to work, try to log into UC1, and you're going to get errors. Okay, so we're definitely going to work with you guys to make sure that your migration is swift and it's simple. Okay. All right, so this is what BluIP Connect with WebEx is. So again, you get calling, meeting, and messaging. Now, what's important to note here is the calling is provided by BluIP, and it's a one-number calling, so you can install BluIP Connect on multiple devices, but it's still the same one phone number. It'll support Wi-Fi calling, obviously HD video, and of course, just like UC1, you'll be able to see presence. And as far as meetings are concerned, you'll be able to still hold your team meetings and one-to-one space meetings. You'll have direct, person-to-person chat, or you can send a chat to a group like you guys were used to back in UC1. File transfers, universal search, which is an awesome little tool, and that's one of the first things we'll dive into when I show you guys the demo, and histories of your meetings. And as far as messaging is concerned, Cisco is touting that this is 10 times a better experience than actually meeting in person. Meeting in person does definitely have its positives, right? Because you can see the person's face when you're talking to them, and you can gauge, how excited they are or how bored they are. But you can do the same thing now, right? With video calling. And then when you're face to face with somebody and you're in a conference room and you're staring at a whiteboard, it becomes a little bit more difficult. Of course, you can obviously draw on the whiteboard, but sharing files, sharing ideas, and putting all of these files in one location, it becomes difficult, because then you're going to end up going back to your laptop anyway, and you're going to have to send emails back and forth to somebody else. Whereas if you held the meeting, with BluIP Connect with Webex, everything is stored in one place. So that's what they mean by that. Right? Obviously, we're not taking anything away from face-to-face meetings. It's highly secure. It supports HD video and audio, and of course, content sharing, which is one of the strongest points that we need when we're doing meetings. And of course, you can allow guest access, and it's even easier now than what you guys were used to back in UC1. All right. So let's go down to the next page. So here is what the typical screen looked like back in UC1 days, right? So this is my UC1 communicator. As you can see, there's my contacts, there's my chats, right? And there's my phone calls. So this is the same, pretty much the same screen. So in BluIP Connect with Webex, chat is called messaging, right? Because it's not just chats. You can do so much in the messaging tab that you could not do, when you were just chatting with somebody, in UC1. This is what the calling or the dial pad looks like in UC1. Of course, you all know this. And this is what the dial pad looks like in BluIP Connect with WebEx. Of course, you can always start start the call with just using plain old audio. And then you can just transition from audio to video. Like if you're trying to share something and you need to show them something, you can go from audio to video just like you could back in UC1. So we're definitely not taking that away. Right? And this was your meeting screen back in UC1. And we have an even simpler meeting screen in BluIP Connect with WebEx. Right? This will make a lot more sense once we start doing the actual demo. But if this is the first time you're seeing this, as you can see, it can do everything that UC1 can do and more and easier. All right. Here is a quick detailed feature comparison. Now, if you guys have UC1 already, when we migrate you, you will automatically have the basic package, okay? The BluIP Connect with WebEx basic package. And the basic package, and I forgot how many rows are on here. This is just a snippet of everything, but I'm going to show you something real quick. I'm going to show you this PDF file. As you can see, there's a lot of features, right? So where UC1 stops here, it keeps going and going, right? Here. So there's lots and lots of features between basic and UC1. And what I'm trying to point out here is everything that you could do in UC1, you'll be able to do with basic package. Now, on top of basic, right, there are other packages available for BluIP Connect with WebEx, right? So there's basic, which includes calling, it includes messaging. You have a 25 participant space meetings, and we'll talk a little bit about space meeting in a second. Your meeting duration is 24 hours. You have a 2 gigabyte message storage. You don't have any cloud meeting recordings, but we do store everything that you share on all of your meeting spaces for 3 years. That's the basic package, okay? We do have an upgrade for the standard package, and the standard package includes all the basic features that we just discussed, okay? But we also increased the participant space meetings. You're going from 100 participant space meetings, from 25 to 100 participant space meetings, okay? And then we also introduced the concept of a personal room. So you have 100 participants in your personal room, same meeting duration, but we kicked up a notch the message storage. We're going from 2 gigabytes to 5 gigabytes. You still don't have cloud meeting recording, and we still store everything that you share, in your spaces and in your meetings for 3 years. And then, of course, we do have the premium package, which includes all of the features and functionality between standard and basic. But look at the difference, though. We went from 25 to 100 to 300 participant space meetings. And then we went from 100 participant in your personal room all the way to 1,000 people in your personal room. So with the premium package, at any given time, you can have 1,000 people. That's you plus 999 other people in your room, plus space meetings that have 300 people on it, all going on at the same time. The meeting duration is unlimited. And we went from 2 gigabytes for the basic, 5 gigs for the standard, and 10 gigs for the message storage. So obviously, if you're going to have hundreds of people in meetings, you're also going to have tons and tons of files that you're going to need to store somewhere, right? Cloud meeting recording is now 10 gigabytes, and we store everything for 5 years. Okay. But again, everybody here that's listening to this webinar, we're all going to get basic, and it's going to cover everything that you're used to in UC1. All right. So let's talk about what happens on game day. So preparing for the migration. First, please remember that we are going to use the same credentials that you used for UC1. So you're not going to get a separate email that says, oh, you used to log in as eaving@bluip.com or whatever it is that your login was, or 818-839-6415, and now it's going to be this other credential. So it is going to be the same username and the same password that you used to log in with UC1. But please note that all historical data in UC1 will no longer be accessible after the migration, which I'll describe in a second. So you need to review your message history and save any important chats, right? This is a different platform. This is not, UC1 Advanced, right? This is not UC1 Premium. This is BluIP Connect with Webex that's sitting on a completely different server on a completely different platform. So we will not be able to save any of your important chats. So if you do have chats that are still sitting in UC1 that you would like to keep, make note of them, print screen them, copy and paste them, or do whatever you want to do. Maybe copy and paste them to a WordPad, right? Just to keep all of your important chats. And save any important external contacts, right? So you are going to be using the same, phone list, okay? So you're going to be using the same enterprise directory. However, if you decided to add your grandma, or if you decided to add your mom, or or somebody else outside of your organization, that's not coming over, right? So all of your external contacts are not going to make it over. So if you met somebody, during a meeting or at a coffee for lunch and they handed you their business card, please make note of any external contacts and just copy and paste them so that way you can put them back in once you're migrated. And also, this is an important thing, make notes of any recurring meetings that you used to have, right? So again, because this is a different platform, we are not going to be able to migrate all of your recurring meetings. You'll be able to create brand new wonderful meetings, but we won't be able to take your old series meetings, okay? So the important thing here, actually the most important thing here, is that we work together, right? So the migration is painless, and I have been told over and over again that the migration is very simple from Mark. Mark is the team leader in our support staff, and we have already migrated many users, and they love it. Okay, so it's always been a positive experience. It's never been a headache. Oh, I can't log in. I can't log in. This doesn't make any sense, right? So the key thing here is once you're ready, right? Drop us a line, call support and say, I want to do it. Let's do it today. And we have a script, Mark and team can immediately migrate you. And then all you've got to do is download the app, okay, for the first time, and then log in as you normally would using your same UC1 credentials, the same username and password. Right, so you don't have to copy this whole thing. You will get copies of this PowerPoint presentation, and then of course you download the app and then you log in, and this is where the app sits. Okay, actually, when you click on that app, when you click on that link, it's going to ask you, because there's multiple versions of, of Webex, of the Webex client. It runs on virtually everything. It'll run on your PC, it'll run on your Mac, it'll run on your iOS phone, it'll run on your Android phone. It will run. Okay. All right. So Lhasa, if no other questions, I'm gonna start doing my quick little demo.
Yeah, I don't think we got any questions coming in, but again, for those few people that joined after we started, if you do have any questions, please ask them in the chat. We may or may not answer them here on the fly, but at this stage, there are no questions, Eric.
Okay, great. All right, guys, welcome to BluIP Connect with Webex. And just for comparison, I asked our support team to give me a test account because I've already been migrated, but to give me a test account on UC1 Communicator, just so you guys can see for reference, screen by screen. So this is UC1 Communicator, and this is the new BluIP Connect with Webex. Okay. So as you can see, it's plain, it's simple, but it's powerful. Right? This is exactly what you're going to see when you first launch the app. For one difference, it's going to default to dark mode. And so the first thing you might want to do, while looking around, is go ahead and click on your avatar. And your avatar is at the top left corner. And personalize your avatar. So, maybe click on your edit profile, okay? And you can change the picture because by default, it's going to say EA for Erickson Abing, right? It's only going to give you your initials. Just go ahead and click your change picture and pick any picture you want to personalize it. You can even choose a cover image, to cover the background. I kind of like this background. It matches my sweater, so that's pretty cool. And then go ahead and click save, okay? And now you'll have your avatar. So when you're talking to people or when you're messaging people, they won't just see EA. They'll actually see, a picture of you, which makes it more personable. Okay. The other thing that you may want to do when you first launch the app is maybe change, the look and feel. Well, the color scheme anyway. So to do that, all you've got to do is again hit your avatar and then hit your settings and then go ahead and click appearance. And the default is dark mode. Okay, but I actually prefer light mode myself. For my eyes, it's just easier to see. I know a lot of you guys think dark mode is probably better because there's a contrast, but I like the simplicity of the light mode. But just for reference, okay, just for reference, I am running my BluIP Connect with Webex also on my iOS phone, and this is what dark mode looks like. Okay, so yes, it is tied to the same account. That's the reason why I had to have a separate account, just so I can put one on light mode and one on dark mode, because it's one or the other. You can't have both. Okay, if you're using the same profile anyway. So that's what dark mode looks like, and this is what light mode looks like. And by the way, as you can tell, right, this is a more lived-in feel, right? Because this is the actual application that we use here every day. Right? So it's not empty. And sooner or later, you guys are going to get the same thing, right? On your messaging tab, you're going to get lots and lots of messages. It's going to look very lived in. Your calling is going to be filled in. Your meetings are going to be filled in, right? So this is a more lived in app. But this is what it's going to look like when you first sign in. Okay. All right, so let's take the first thing. The first thing is messaging, and messaging is basically your chat screen back in UC1, right? So this was chat in UC1, right? So you can see all of my chats between Susan and Stephen, okay? In messaging, you have the concept of spaces. And when you first enter your messaging tab, you're going to have one default space created for you, and it's going to say Webex space for your name, right? So for me, it's called Webex space for Erickson, and I'm the only person in it, okay? So think of space as the my room back in UC1, right? So in here, I can just, send messages in my room, but actually it's no fun, right? Unless there's somebody here with you. So let's add somebody. So let me add Corey, okay? I'm gonna add Corey here. Corey, if you could just log in with your account, please. Right. And even of course with BluIP.com, because this is on a test server, it's actually thinking that it's on a different company. Okay, so as you can see here, Corey just sent me a message, right? So this message for this space is where we do all of our transactions for messaging. I'm going to say hi. Okay. And anytime I share something with Corey, whether it be a file, a picture, documents, PowerPoints, everything is held in the contents tab. Okay. So let's say that I'm holding a meeting with Corey and I share a PDF file with him. And then like 2 weeks later, I asked Corey, hey, Corey, remember when we were talking and I was sharing a PDF file with you? Do you still have that? Well, you can do it one of two ways, right? You can scroll, obviously, you can scroll back to that 2 weeks ago and find that specific, conversation between you two, or you can just click on the content tab and everything will be shared here. Remember how we said that it's got 2 gigabytes of space and then 5 gigabytes of storage and 10 gigabytes? That's what we mean. So anything that you put in any of your spaces, okay, are gonna count against that number, and this is where they're gonna be. This is where gonna be held. And just like in my room, right? You can also schedule meetings. Okay, so you can either, one of two things you can do. You can either do an ad hoc meeting. So if I wanted to just meet with Corey, I'll click on meet. Okay, and what this will do, it will start just an instant meeting. Okay, just like what you guys are used to. You can even change the backgrounds. You can, you have a selection of your microphone, a selection of whichever video camera that you want to use. I've got 2 cameras on my PC, right? One is on my laptop and one is overhead on my big monitor. And once I click start meeting, whoever is a member of this space will all get the notification. Right? So for example, if you're talking with 7 people in this space and you're chatting and you're chatting and you're chatting and you're like, hey guys, this is getting out of hand. Let's hold a meeting and let's just do the whiteboard thing and let's just plan this out instead of having to do everything in chat. Right? So you have ad hoc meetings, okay? But you can also schedule a meeting, right? You can just click here to, plus schedule. And what this will do is it will open up your Microsoft Outlook for me, because I do have Microsoft Outlook integrated in this thing. So when you click on open, what it's going to do is it's going to open up an actual calendar invite from your Microsoft Outlook that has your space information. And that right here, this is a little button right here. Remember this back in UC1? That is your space information, right? So you can do what you used to do if you're more comfortable with that. You can just click copy here, right? And then go to your Outlook and then you can send this link, or you can just send it send it in text, right? So same concept. But now you have the concept of spaces, right? So how many spaces can you create? Well, you can create a ton of space, right? So there's no limit to the number of space that you can create, okay? So over here is your universal search, okay? And what this will do is this will search for any meetings that you may have, any contacts you may have, any devices that you may have. Like for example, if I type in C, right? I can see that it searched for a contact named Corey Katz, right? I can see that it even looked into my Outlook contacts and it found some my plumbing person. I found one of my vendors, right? So it's a universal search. So if you created a space and you forgot the name of that space, it will show up here, right? Okay, so now let's go ahead and talk about teams, right? So in BluIP, obviously, we're one big team, right? Now, you obviously don't want to create one team and then have all the conversations between hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, right? So what you want to do is first, let's create a team, right? So I'm going to create a team called documentation, right? You can even describe the team, right? And we'll say something like, we write stuff, okay? So you can either start adding people now, or you can just create this now and then add people later. So let me add Corey, and I'll say create. So as you can see for the header, there's the name of your team. That's what we do. We write stuff. Erickson Abing is the moderator, right? And as far as members are concerned, right, it's me and there's Corey, okay? And if you click on space, okay, remember the space was that my room conception. So if you click on general, right, this is where all the conversation will take place in this team. But as you guys may have noticed, right, anytime you start a team, even though there's only 2 people that you start the team with, sooner or later your team will grow. And that's because you have more products, you have more solutions that you're trying to do, trying to plan for, right? That's where the concept of spaces come to mind. We're all a team, but we want to be able to break up our teams into sub teams. So now what we'll do is we'll create a space. Okay. So in documentation, maybe we want a separate team that write documentation for Cisco, right? And then you can just add people or email here because there's only Corey for me. So I'm just going to keep hitting Corey, right? And then create. Okay. And so now we have a subspace or as a space within the team's documentation, right? So if you click on documentation, there's the documentation team. And inside there, there's Cisco. Actually, somebody else created for Cisco for me. So, and you can create as many spaces as you want. So we'll have one for Cisco. We'll have one for Microsoft. Okay. We'll add Corey to that one as well. Create. Okay, so now I have a sub channel for Microsoft and I have a sub channel for Cisco. And why do you want to do this? You want to do this because you don't really want all the banter going on from the other projects, right? So maybe you have multiple people and you have some developers and some not developers. The developers will talk about developer speak. The salespeople will talk about sales speak, and we want to segregate that, right? So Microsoft people don't really want to know what's going on with the documentation for Cisco. The Cisco people probably don't want to know what's going on with the Microsoft documentation when its deadlines are, if you have pictures of this, if you have pictures of that. So you want to segregate your team so that you don't have one big chatter. Remember, because if you go here in the documentation, if you go to the general tab, that's where all the chatter is going to be. Imagine if we had no spaces and we had all of these products and everybody's talking. Imagine how much stuff would fill up the general tab, right? So that's the concept of space, right? A space is a team subdivided. So that way you guys can work more efficiently, okay? And if you want to leave the space, right? So what all you got to do is just kick them out of the space. You know what, Corey? I really need you to work on something else. I'm just going to remove you from that space. And I'm going to remove you from Cisco as well. Okay. And I'm going to click Corey out. Okay. Remove from space. Okay. And he's gone. Okay. So now the only member is me again. Okay. All right. So there's your team. So again, team is a group of people, working for a common goal. A space is a division of that team so that they can focus on a specific product. That's we did just like what we did for documentation, right? We have many products and solutions at BluIP that we write stuff for, okay? And we want to segregate all that chatter. All right, so here's your contact screen, just like your contact screen back in UC1, okay? There's your contact screen, and here's the new contact screen. As you can tell, right, there's no contacts. This is what's going to happen when you're brand new. That's why I'm saying that if you had any, external contacts that was not in there or that was in there before, it's not going to come. It's not going to come over, right? So let's go ahead and add our first contact. So I'll click Add Contact, and as you can see, as soon as I type in a letter, right, it will start to search everything. It'll start to search my enterprise directories. It'll start to search my personal phone list in BroadSoft. It'll even start searching my Outlook contacts. It'll start searching for everything. right? If it can find it. And I'm going to add Corey as my first contact. Okay. And then you have a choice. Do you want this as your top contacts? Top contacts is basically your favorite. So I talk to Corey multiple times a day. So I will add him to my top contacts. And when I click add, and there it is, right? So it includes Corey's email, his personal meeting room. And as you can tell already, right, there's all these cool icons. So you can click to chat, click to dial, and click to video call. And what's even cooler than that is if you're here, right, and you want to talk to Corey or send Corey a chat, you don't actually have to go to your contacts and then find Corey and then click here, right? Wherever you are, okay, go to your universal search, type C or type anything, right? And as you can see, there's Corey. And if I click on Corey, it immediately takes me to, the chat that Corey and I were having before. Okay. So universal search. If you don't know where to find anything, just start typing here. As soon as it finds that first letter, it's going to try to find a match. Okay. So there's the contacts. Obviously, you can edit the contacts and you can delete the contacts, right? And you can even, create groups. Okay. So there's lots and lots of things. And by the way, right next to the left side of the universal search, there's a plus button, right? This is, we'll just call it a universal plus, okay? When you click on it, right, you can do multiple things. You can send a direct message, you can create a space, you can explore public spaces, you can make a call, you can add a contact, and you can schedule a meeting all from here. No matter where you are, you could be here, you can hit plus. Same thing. If you're in voicemail, you come here and you hit plus, right? So they really, really wanted to make it easy. If I just wanted to quickly chat with Corey, okay, find Corey, double click on Corey, and there you go. There's, there's all of the stuff that I was sharing with Corey. All right. Of course, there's calling, right? I mean, it wouldn't be a true collaboration tool without calling. So let's just bring up our UC1 before. And as you can see, this is your dial pad, right? Pretty cool dial pad. We've all used that. This is your new dial pad in BluIP Connect with Webex. So same concept. You can either search or dial a phone number. There's my phone number, right? You can start the call with audio first. And then, as you progress throughout your call, just go ahead and click video so that you can start sharing, okay? If you receive any voicemail, it will show up here, okay? And for all of your meetings, it will show up here. So it's even easier in meetings because it's easier when you're adding external contacts. Obviously, it's very simple to hold a meeting with internal folks. Uh, it's the external folks that's always been the challenge in UC1 because when you send them the link, and you want them to use UC1, it's always had to download a bunch of library DLLs that you probably don't or have, and it was sometimes challenging. But WebEx is it's an industry tool, right? Everybody's heard of WebEx, just like everybody's heard of Teams, right? So there's no special uh, thing that you have to do on your PC. Once you send the link out to a recipient, if you send it out to your mom, she's going to get a link. And if they, once the link finds out that she's never had or he's never had WebEx before, it will ask you to download and sign up for a free WebEx account. I did it. I actually did it with my wife just to test it. Okay. And all she is not the most technical person in the world, but she was able to click on the link. She said yes to download the app, and she was holding meetings with me. Okay. That's the whole point of, of course, if you're already used to WebEx, of course, that's the easy part. The challenging part is getting people to join your WebEx world if they've never heard of WebEx before. And now they've got to do all of these things to, to get into your WebEx environment. But it makes it easy. So again, so there's your messaging tab, which replaces the chat, okay? And the content is the files and all of the deliverables that you shared with somebody. Okay, schedule a meeting. Okay? You can either do it from here or you can do it from any of your spaces, right? So if you click on the Cisco space, okay, remember what I told you? You can just click meet. So it starts an ad hoc meeting with everybody in that space. So be careful with this, because if you have, let's say, 80 people sharing this space and you click meet, 80 people will get that notification and they'll be able to join your meeting, right? If you don't want those 80 people, right, you may want to create just, a subspace, or better yet, go back into your space, the Webex space for Ericsson, and just invite the people that you want to talk to. And then when you don't want to talk to them anymore, you can always just go back and just remove them from the space. Okay. So that way, you have multiple options for holding meetings. You can either hold a meeting one-to-one, you can hold a meeting on the space, and you can even hold the meetings for the teams. So I think that's pretty much it, Lhasa. I know a lot of this may seem foreign, and that's okay, but we feel that as soon as you guys are migrated and you begin to understand the power of BluIP Connect with WebEx, you're going to wish that you jumped into this platform sooner, because that is the positive feedback that we have been getting. And of course, you do have to work with us. That's the only thing that we ask, right? We do have to work together to get you guys migrated, right? And our goal is to have everybody migrated as soon as possible before UC1 becomes inoperable. So if you have some special circumstances that you just can't get off right now, we get it. We'll try to work with you. But for the most part, migrating you guys are very simple. It's not a manual process for us. It's a script for us that we run, and we just have to know who to run it against. And then once it's run, and once you guys are migrated, go ahead and go and download the WebEx client, and you can download it. It's going to ask you whether you want to download it for your 64-bit or 32-bit machine. It's going to ask you, do you want to download it for your iOS? Do you want to download it for your Android? There's multiple ways to do it. Okay. So how are we doing, Lhasa? Any questions?
Yeah, there's been quite a few questions in the chat. It looks like all have kind of been addressed, but I want to make sure if anyone has additional questions, feel free to drop them in the chat box as well. I think Corey did address the ones that came in.
Okay, and Edwin, our COO, is also on this call, along with Mark Horton, I believe. Are there any messages that you guys would like to send out to the field during this call, Mark or Edwin? Anything I had not mentioned before that might be valuable?
Hi, everybody. The only thing that I would add is if you're ready to migrate, even if you're not ready to migrate, I would highly encourage you to just send a quick email to support@bluip.com, and we'll go ahead and schedule it accordingly, so that as we migrate individual organizations, we basically put them on a schedule, make sure to communicate everything, all the relevant information, set expectations correctly. And the migration process itself is very, very straightforward and very painless. So as long as if you're ready, send an email to support@bluip.com, and all of our support guys know how to do what they need to do. They'll go ahead and migrate you, schedule and migrate you.
Awesome. Thank you. And I just wanted to show you guys, so when you guys are ready to download your client, so this is what the WebEx download looks like, right? So you'll have a choice between downloading for your Windows 64-bit or your Windows 32-bit. I'm pretty sure, any modern PC obviously is using 64-bit, but this is what I was talking about, right? So it runs on your iOS and it runs on your Android phone, okay? So pretty simple. Corey? Go ahead.
I was actually going to say, Eric or Corey, that we did have a request coming through the chat saying, I guess Corey just addressed, but UC1 was enabled for BroadWorks Call Center. Any plans for Webex for Call Center? And Corey looks like you say, yes, Webex supports BroadWorks Call Center ACD changes.
Awesome.
And John had a question for call center agents. Where do we change the status?
I actually don't have my call center set up yet, but yeah.
I can show a screenshot. Give me a second here.
And again, we can always address more individual, unique questions that may come up. Obviously, we understand this is a big change for several people. It's an exciting change, but if you do have any specific questions, absolutely reach out to your direct BluIP contact. We want to help. Corey, I saw the screenshot you shared. Thank you.
Yep. So essentially on the front of the screen, it's actually a lot easier than it was on UC1 where you had to go 5 or 6 little menus deep to find it. So it's just a tab right on the front screen. You click it, and the very top of it, you've got your drop-down menu to choose your ACD state. And you can join and unjoin queues if you've been provisioned that way.
Awesome. Thank you, Corey. Okay, Lasse, I think that will do it. It's 10:43. Yeah. That was the time that we allotted for this call. So again, thank you guys very much for attending today.
Yeah, thank you all. And we will be sending out a recording from this webinar. Hopefully by later today or tomorrow, we'll have that out. And again, if you do have any questions, reach out directly to your BluIP contact. Otherwise, as a backup, if you don't know who that is, reach out to sales@bluip.com as well, and that should also get you to the right sales contact. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day, and thank you so much for joining in on today's webinar.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a wonderful rest of your week.